Hello YouTube and people of the interwebs, welcome back to another Doctor Who video. Today we're going to be discussing the upcoming New Year's special, the festive special, Eve of the Daleks. So without further ado, we'll just jump straight in. Things we know so far, like quite obviously it's a Dalek special. We've seen from the trailer, we've seen from the promo images, and the clue is somewhat in the title. It's the third in this sort of trilogy of Dalek specials. We've had Resolution of the Daleks, Revolution of the Daleks, Eve of the Daleks, and so on and so forth. I'm going to read through a public extract of the Doctor Who magazine, which has been put on Doctor Who TV online. So yeah, we'll just jump straight in. First thing from this article that we can see is this really cool promo image of the Doctor, Dan, Yaz, and Aisling B's character in a weird room with red lighting. It looks like this warehouse facility. There's not too much to it. It's quite a nice image. And they all seem to have just discovered the Daleks for what I'm presuming is the first time due to the look of shock on all of their faces. Now, the other guest character of this episode isn't actually in this picture, so maybe they've just witnessed his death or something like that. We can't gather loads from the picture, but what we can gather loads from is this interview with Chris Chibnall, so I'll just read it out. The episode is basically a romantic comedy, where the obstacles to the romance are not only the characters themselves, but the threat of Daleks, says Chris Chibnall. Now, that's just such a cool idea. It reminds me of how Russell T Davies once said, like way back, I think 2008, when it happened in Series 4, he said he wanted to create this big romance story of the Doctor and Rose finally getting together, but then you plop a Dalek in the middle, kill off the 10th Doctor, and it's all drama, drama, drama. It's very similar to that. Now, that was a story about a companion loving a Doctor, and this begs the question, is this love story about Yaz and the 13th Doctor? Now, that's quite a controversial thing. Thasmin is what the cool kids are calling it these days. But could it be something to do with Thasmin? Possibly. I mean, there was quite, like, romantic vibes, I'd say, given at the end of Flux in that scene between the Doctor and Yaz. It was quite intense. They got quite close. I don't know, though, because I'm pretty sure it's just referring to the two guest stars in this episode, Aisling B's character and this other bloke. But maybe their stories are like running parallel. Maybe it's about the Doctor and Yaz discovering how they feel about each other, and Aisling B's character and her significant other discovering how they feel about each other. Chibnall continues, but there's still big fun sci-fi concept at the heart of it all. It's got a range of tones, the range of scares, the range of humour, and the range of mystery that you'd want on New Year's Day. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't necessarily want a massively complicated episode on New Year's Day because it's New Year's Day. Like, people don't want that. Loads of people are hungover, they're watching TV, they're having fun, they're with their family or friends or both. They don't need some ridiculous mind-bending philosophical concept. They just want entertaining, good, fun television. Now, this is where the timey-wimey stuff kicks in. He says, on top of all of that, it's also a time loop adventure, inspired by the likes of Groundhog Day from 1993 and Palm Springs from 2020. Something that required a lot of plotting, grids, and cross-referencing, says Chris Chibnall. That's quite interesting because films like Groundhog Day are quite iconic, like loads of people have seen them. There's a lot of snow in that film. I wouldn't call it a Christmas film, but it puts you in the festive spirit, doesn't it? It's got like that happy ending, festive, coolness, epic. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Now, we have a new director for this episode who Doctor Who has never seen before, so that's always exciting, giving a breath of fresh air to the episode. This episode was directed by newcomer Annette Lofer, or Lofer. I can never pronounce surnames and I always get told off in the comments. Who loved the concept as soon as Chris Chibnall pitched it to her. She says that because the rest of the Flux series is so complicated, she thought it was a nice thing to do to sort of unwind a little bit and have fun. She says it's a more story-led rather than action-led episode, which if you're a nerd like myself, you'll love that. I'm not a massive fan of pew 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 action. I love characters, drama, and story. And that was the most pretentious thing I've ever said. It's interesting how she says it's not very visual effects heavy compared to other episodes. It's a nice contrast, a palette cleanser. It does make me sort of think, is the entire thing going to be set in that warehouse? Because most of the promo photos we've seen are in that warehouse. I don't know. Obviously, it's a base under siege story. Yeah, not the biggest fan of those because they always tend to be budget-saving naff episodes. I don't know. This could still be good. We don't know. I'm not going to say it's going to be bad, but it's going to be slower. And slower sometimes is really good, sometimes it's really bad. If they go down a character-driven route and give loads of different characters and arcs and stuff to these central people, that'd be good. If they don't, oh dear. She says, I feel like we haven't seen Daleks in quite this way before. It's a really fun way of presenting them. And there's this whole romantic comedy element. A romantic comedy with the Daleks is a really fun way to explore the genre, I think. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, romantic comedies aren't necessarily my genre of choice, but combine them with Daleks, combine them with high sci-fi concept ideas, time loops, etc. It's going to be quite interesting to see and hopefully give that feeling of festivity that we're all longing for in these drastically crap times, because the Tory party are a bunch of useless morons. Everyone and their nan should hate Boris Johnson, but this isn't a political video, very sorry. Moving on from one horrific fascist who's killed thousands to another, here we have a Dalek on the front cover of the Doctor Who magazine with its new gun. Now this new gun is a very interesting point to talk about because I'll play the clip on screen now, but it zooms round and rapid fires loads of things, which is probably the deadliest form of Dalek we've ever seen. Maybe not, because the special weapons Dalek from the classic series, that packs a punch. Yeah, this episode is shaping up to be really, really interesting. Now, it's time to talk about a few theories and stuff that I think is going to happen in this episode. Like, the one main thing I'm going to say is maybe this episode is going to be somewhat Fugitive of the Jadoon-esque, in that it seems like a straightforward, it's the Jadoon, it's the Daleks invading, they're going to do a little story, base under siege, the Doctor's going to kick him off the planet, and they're going to go. Maybe it's going to take the formula, just like Fugitive of the Jadoon did, it's going to take the formula and go, bam, Joe Martin's here. Bam, you've got new sci-fi stuff that you weren't expecting to do with the plot, because we still haven't wrapped up the whole Timeless Child thing, the Doctor's still got the pocket watch to look for, and this probably means absolutely nothing. I'm hoping to God it does though. The other day, Joe Martin put on her Instagram story a poster from this episode and put like the eyes emoji or something, which it could just be because she's associated with Doctor Who and is excited for the special, or in my conspiracy theorist head, it's because Joe Martin's returning. Please let Joe Martin return. I mean, there's something going wrong with time in this episode, creating this time loop, similar to something maybe like Hellbent, like where the Doctor's stuck in a loop for ages. I mean, the reason for this time loop we do not know, but it's quite logical to predict from the promo images we've seen. The Tardis is still dying, the Tardis is going wrong, the Tardis is breaking down, it's the exterior as well as the interior now, which, maybe this is something that's going to recur throughout all of the specials. Maybe the Doctor's going to get stranded on Earth in the Centenary or something like that. Do let me know in the comments down below your hopes, thoughts and theories for this upcoming episode. I think it's going to be an hour long because the New Year's specials usually are. Like, it's just following the pattern. It's not confirmed, following the pattern. Also, TV Guide have said that it's going to air at 6:45 on New Year's Day, that seems to be sort of the generic slot now for Doctor Who. It's not too late in the evening, it's not too early in the evening, it's the sweet spot. It's dark outside, you're cozy inside, and I'm going to stop speaking and draw this video to a close. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Please do turn on the notification bell so you keep up to date with all the latest Doctor Who news, and goodbye.